behavioral changes happen over decades. The situations has shown us that behavioral changes will happen over in a couple of months or weeks also. As a team, when you succeed, it's a high. It's a adrenaline rush. I mean, the sleepless nights, the working over weekends, the catching the deadlines, these are all adrenaline rushes.
This is Devleena welcoming you all to another Power Pack episode of Icons Behind Brand, a video interview series back to basics. Today I have a guest who is another stalwart of the industry and worked with various segments like FMCG, beauty, personal care, from large size companies to startups. She has worked with mega giant companies like Future Group as a Chief Marketing Officer. I welcome Ms. Prachi Mohapatra, who is currently working as a Head of Marketing in OTC and Emerging Markets in Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. A warm welcome to you, Prachi. Prachi, our viewers would love to know a bit about your personal journey.
Yeah. Okay. So, is it personal journey? Is it professional journey? I'm going to make my journey a little bit interesting for whoever is listening to this or looking at this. And thank you, Devleena, for having me here today. And it's been a pleasure speaking to you. And we have been going through a process. A little bit about me. I'm a small town person. I actually belong to eastern part of Orissa, and I have been brought up there, and my schooling has happened there. So my journey has been has humble beginnings. I moved to Pune and Bombay to start my career, and in the process, have lived in various parts of India. When I look at or summarize or surmise myself as a business person, I think I react to and I get the nerve of customers because of my exposure in various parts of the countries, because I have had humble beginnings, and it just creates the knack of within me as a business person, as a marketer, that all of us before business people or as marketers are customers, and we would like to be treated the way by the brand that treats us. And we should treat them with the same eye that we should be treating our customers. So that's something that I truly and inherently believe in. Going to my professional journey, yes, as you already mentioned, a lot of exposure in, again, various industries and segments. I've been very lucky to have been exposed to direct selling, to retail, to beauty and personal care industry, to food, ice creams for all you know, and then to fashion, and then finally to the over-the-counter segment in the pharma industry. So that's me.
I think it is going to be even more interesting to have a conversation with you, because I'm going to, I'm very excited to hear a lot of stories from different segments from you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Prachi, we have seen a huge shift in consumer behavior, right? In the cultural change which has happened in people's mind and in their lifestyle too. So people have drastically moved from the offline space to digital space. In the past, we have witnessed that. So how these outside forces and trends are impacting your segment today, Prachi?
Let's take an example of you. I know you have a kid and how you have been shopping, right? Take an example how it's a girl, I'm presuming.
Yeah, it's a girl.
Yeah, and it's a lovely space to be having a girl around in the house, and how you would have been shopping for her crazily, like her fashion, like her little personal care products, right? Would have been your experience. So before we entered this situation, I don't want to call this as a pandemic, or it just puts a lot of pressure on us.
Yes.
So before we entered this situation, look at how you shop. You'd go around, browse around for things. I mean, to touch, feel कि ये सबसे अच्छा है मेरी बच्ची के लिए, and then only pick it up when you are 100% sure. Look at how you have shifted as a consumer. Your conversations during when we entered the pandemic and when the child grew during the 3-4 months of lockdown or non-essential, the first time you opened up, you're like, oh, बच्चे के कपड़े छोटे हो गए, right? The first thing that every parents were really worried about is the kids outgrowing what they had entered the pandemic situation with, right? And that's precisely what first thing. Second thing is your sleepwear. A lot of focus would have gone to your sleepwear because that's what you've been living in. I mean, for the 4 months, you've been living in those same kind of sleepwear that you actually entered the situation in March. Right. So look at how your shopping patterns has evolved also. That's first part of what you buy. Let's look at how you buy it also. So your journey, think about your journey pre-pandemic. You would go enter a retail shop and then again have a conversation, browse through. Post-pandemic, when everything opened up also, you're not allowed to browse. You can't take one or two more products into the trial room to try. There is so much of pressure on you experiencing any kind of negative situation with the virus that you're forced to actually stay in the digital space and do a pick and choose and then pick the product up, and hey, if you don't like it, just return to the vendor. That's precisely how your experience has been. Yes, and the same goes for all of us. As consumers, yes, lot of behavioral shift has happened, and for good. I think all of us have been really struggling to get this e-com space right as business people, and I think this situation just hastened the entire steps up towards that. Coming down to the industry that I work in currently, yes, this has also seen, this domain is no different. I mean, at the end of the day, the customer or the final consumer buys a fashion, buys a beauty, buys the food, and buys the medicine. I mean, you are not changing, right? And how will you source your product will not change, and that applies to every brand out there. So whether you buy atta, whether you buy fashion, or whether you buy your medicine or over-the-counter drugs or over-the-counter product or your personal care product, you will be looking towards ease and safety. That's how every customer that's how you and I are doing, and that's how every customer is also.
So how are you reaching to your customers right now? That is my first question. And how did you use content marketing to keep up the conversation with your customers? And what were the key points that you kept in mind all along?
Okay, let me take it from 3 buckets. Content marketing. Content marketing is your face to what you are trying to say to the customer, right? That's ease of understanding. I'm just putting it out there that what is it that you're trying to say to the customer. When you should be saying it, how you should be saying it, shapes up the content. During this entire 1.5 years of this pandemic that has happened, the situation that has changed for us. First of all, as a brand, I was with a certain brand when we entered the pandemic, and I'm with a certain brand when I'm here right now. So I'll take an example of both spaces, and when you come across delivering your content to a customer, the first thing for us was to be able to generate that empathetic note. I mean, it would not make sense for us also to hear from the brands that we interact with saying fashion khareed lo ya lipstick khareed lo. I mean, hey, it's pathetic actually. So content marketing, basically, you will have to weave in your structure or your conversation around what is the ask. So how we had moved the conversation, as I mentioned earlier, we have moved the conversation to the products that you need. The mix had changed in 3.5 months. The mix had changed, and we were prepped. And that's how we moved ahead. Now let's come to the industry that I've worked in. When we entered this situation, most of us would feel comfortable walking to our nearest chemist and then picking it up. Now, chemist shops are one of the spaces, shops in general are one of the spaces which we all avoided, because it becomes a hub of people coming in, walking in, touching everything. So we avoided these kind of spaces. So how do we start interacting with such customers? I mean, till you want a solution, you will not go and pick up any drug or any over-the-counter product, right? That's something that goes for all of us. We don't want to do that.
Right.
So our focus moved. In fact, see, pharma industry or FMCG brands are one of the brands whose traction to digital space conversation have been a little lesser than the retail and e-com space, primarily because you don't front face the customer from a outlet point of view. You're definitely front facing with a brand point of view. So it's always good to have a tug, a heart tug, a conversation, and that's how FMCG brands also build up their story. For pharma, it's again a step back. I mean, we're starting from a space wherein we've always interacted with customers when they turn patients. So when they seek solutions, when they're sick, that's when we start interacting with them. So we took a step back and started saying that, okay, let's not interact with our customers this way. It's again baby steps which we are taking up, and let's start taking a conversation for wellness, for immunity. I mean, before human beings, actually consumers, turn into patients, let's take a step back and start interacting with them. And I think it generates a lot of positive conversations amongst customers, and that's I think as an industry as a whole, we are all moving forward.
So it's very, very important to understand their needs first and then go ahead rather than a hard selling attitude. Right. So what would be some key challenges you see in the post-COVID scenario, and how do you think it is going to change the consumer behavior in your segment?
So I would not say challenges. I would say it's thrilling because again, as I said, see the channel mix has completely changed now. I mean, while we were struggling with the 4-5% of e-com sale in the huge strata of things, now it's hovering close to 12%, 15% for some of the brands also. When things open up, I mean, it hovers around 15%, and then when things are bad, it's 100% on e-com. So in the long run, I mean, I heard one of the industry stalwarts say this, that behavioral changes happen over decades. The situations has shown us that behavioral changes will happen over in a couple of months or weeks also, and some changes might go back when situation. Again, it's not normal or abnormal. The situation, the precondition comes back. Some of the behavioral changes will go back. Let's take an example of how we shopped during when the lockdown was there and how we shopped when the lockdown opened. So if you would be ordering vegetables, for example, you would be ordering it via e-com. Now, when your local Kone wala bhaiya came back after the lockdown opened, your part of your vegetables again started moving towards him. Like, get me my dhania and fresh when I call you up and get it delivered. So that happens. That will happen, no? But it will find a balance. Some of the behavioral changes in a segment will be permanent. People who hardcore move, like for example, in the world of video demand generation, we always say that there are cord cutters who have absolutely moved from the DTH segment to the Netflix of the world and the Amazons of the world, who have absolutely moved there. There will be cord cutters completely at one point of time who will completely move from this segment to e-com. There will be flirters who will lie in between, and then there will be people who will go back. But it will be a change of channel for sure. So consumer behavior would have changed. For us as business people, it is mandatory to be able to view that this trend is changing. I mean, earlier we used to run researches to do trend analysis. This entire situation is showing us a trend which is for us to be able to deliver and derive that what is it that we are seeing from this entire trend. So there will be a fair mix of people completely moving to black flirters, and then there will be situations where, when, like for example, a lot part of the aging population have effectively shifted to e-com. But once things open up, I mean, they would like to go back to their preconditioned life as well. So we're keeping a fair mix, an idea on that. So I don't see it as a challenge. I think it's a thrill for a business person or a marketer to be able to judge how consumer behavior will change.
As you said, very interestingly, this is going to be a thrilling part for any marketer, because we are closely watching the consumer behavior and we are acting according to that. So it is definitely a thrilling part. So thank you for that insight, Prachi. What, according to you, would you say have been the biggest accomplishment in your career?
Okay, so see, successful moments are many, and of course failures are also good number of successful failures as well. But the most accomplished or fulfilling moments which I have experienced, I thought those will be successful campaigns and sales. But no, hey, the most successful and accomplished moments have been from people you work with. And when you, when someone like a team member walks up to you and say, hey, I'm glad you saw through my potential and I'm glad you supported me to achieve it. That's one of the most fulfilling moments you can actually experience. Yes, as a team, when you succeed, it's a high, it's a adrenaline rush. I mean, the sleepless nights, the working over weekends, the catching the deadlines, these are all adrenaline rushes. But the accomplishment comes from smaller moments like this, when you find somebody coming up to you and say that you had a role to play in what they achieved, and you had a role to play in how they saw themselves and the changed part of their potential. So that's a huge accomplishment.
Really loved your answer, Prachi, because when we invest in people, that is a deep, you get the deep satisfaction when you sleep at night. So I feel, I mean, deep inside, that makes you feel that you are successful here, right? There are different definition of success everywhere, different definition of accomplishment, but yes, loved it. So as a marketer, what is your biggest nightmare?
As I said, I don't feel that there is any nightmarish situation ever. I love this domain. I love business. I love building businesses. I don't feel nightmarish ever. Yes, sleepless nights happen when there are challenging situations. The biggest challenge or thrill, as I said, is to know what's going to come up. I mean, it's also a process, right? You're involved in product development, you're involved in planning your media mix, that's closure. I mean, product development in the domain that I am in currently can take as long as 5 to 7 years. To be able to figure out a 5 to 7 years rolling plan and be able to act on it and make the entire process look exciting and thrilling as well, that's a thrilling part of it. So as a marketer, I think that's one part of it. Second, I think the thrill lies in knowing that I mean, the basic roots of marketing will always stay same, but how you reach out to a consumer, what is it that is going to make the trigger change, how the different segments, how the different generations are going to behave to certain communication. I mean, that's the thrill, and that's something is exciting and keeps me happily awake also sometimes.
It's quite motivating interacting with you, Prachi, because you are converting every challenge into a thrill, which is which is pretty motivating for a person like me and for the entire marketing industry. So I'll just remind you, our viewers would be the brand managers, the aspiring marketers, startup owners, business owners, and marketing is one of the nightmare for many businesses. This is one core part. So thanks for taking us through with such an exciting way, Prachi. This is going to help a lot, everyone.
Thank you so much, Evelina.
Yeah. And Prachi, see, consumer insights, which are driving in the global trends right now. So why is it so imperative to invest in media innovation and digital innovation?
See, consumer is changing, no? I mean, they're getting intelligent by the minute. Again, throwing back at you, would you interact with your same brand that you love for your baby if they don't come and give you a solution on e-com space at this point of time, if they don't interact with you while you're scrolling down on your Insta? So I mean, it just speaks volumes about a brand, that how a brand is adapting to new changes. this situation, this pandemic situation has seen businesses shut down. I mean, 250-year-old business like Debenhams has shut down. So I'm just moving ahead and thinking, if you are not nimble-footed, if you are not wanting to find the right balance of what is working, then it will always be very late, and it will be, I mean, forget about years, you will be outdated within months. Stays true for us as individuals, also as brands, and that's precisely what goes in building those brands. It's a personification of an idea, right? The brand. So at the end of the day, I mean, having an innovation on media, having an innovation on digital is so imperative, and tech gives us that space for us to be able to move faster and to be able to find solution faster. And it is different for, while you mentioned, it is different for Devleena, for big size companies and startups. I've worked fairly in both, and I see startups getting nimble footed because the load is less. I mean, there are less number of people, there is less stake, so you move faster, you adapt faster. Bigger organization, yes, because there are so many business people, experienced business people inside. You don't want to lose the human resource, right? You want them to move with you, not because of emotional connect, because of their experience in the industry that they were able to value add, and they will be able to value add if they see the newer way of experiencing or doing business. So moving a certain number of people to a direction, if they were moving this way, to move them this way, is going to take time, but the returns are higher. So it is a fair mix of having a very innovative space from a organization point of view, and media and digital innovations are just a part of it.
That's right. And how do you see the influencer marketing, Prachi? We just spoke about Instagram and all.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited. I mean, see, the industries that I worked with earlier, like beauty and personal care, fashion, are the ones who actively use influencer marketing. Think about influencer marketing in the healthcare space that I'm currently working in. I mean, there are so many Instagram handles with these young doctors who are doing an amazing job of getting the information out over there. I have been super impressed. I mean, the more I watch them, the more I find them that how easy they make taboo topics or so easy to understand. So I mean, conversations flow so easy. Let me take an example. Let me give an example of how the feminine hygiene space is evolving, and it's exploding. When we were kids, I remember these were taboo topics that you can't go and speak about your period problem, your confused state of mind about knowing your body or knowing your psychological changes. Now it's out in the open. I mean, they make 11-year-old, 10-year-old understand how to approach puberty, a pre-puberty speed. So these are such cool spaces to operate in, and I think, as I said, I'm super impressed by how this entire influencer marketing space is going, and I'm really looking forward to working with these people as business leaders.
Yeah, because see, when we work with so many people, they have their own brain, and the way they are coming up with such innovative ways to, express the ideas. At the same time, very subtly, the marketing goes inside. Just weave it along. I also follow some of the doctors, and I really love the way they put the psychology in our mind. So it helps a lot. So Prachi, I'm moving to a very interesting section, which is one of my favorite section. So that is a rapid fire round, and you have to answer in one word. So name a brand which you admire the most other than your own.
So the most, I will not say, but top of the mind recall, if I say, I think I had been very impressed with Zivame as a brand when they got the changes to how lingerie shopping is being done. I mean, it was groundbreaking. So supremely impressed with what they have done as a brand.
Right. One book or podcast you would like to recommend the marketers?
I follow Simon Sinek very highly, and Gary Vee also. I mean, they bring in a lot of. Gary Vee's book. Simon is kind, so I try to find balance between both of them.
Awesome. Yeah. One of your hidden talent.
Okay. So I bake. I bake a lot.
One thing that's about you that surprises people.
There's two things in fact that surprise people very much about me. A, I'm a damn good navigator. I mean, people don't see it coming. You can leave me in any country, and I'll find my way back to the hotel for sure. So and I can lead a group of people back to the hotel as well. So I'm a damn good navigator. And second, something that I really enjoy doing, I whistle songs. So that's something that surprises people like crazy shit.
So, your biggest professional mentor?
Okay, so how I see my mentors is I always pick up their good qualities and positives. I mean, it's a human being you're interacting with. There are positives, there are negatives. So I basically have collated the best of their abilities with people who I've worked with. But a person who I really look up to is Indra Nooyi. I mean, I really love how her career has been. Though there are things I might not agree with, but there are so many things to learn from her. There's so many areas that I see as positive influence on my life, and I unknowingly pick them up from her. So that's why I believe that her influence in my domain, in my professional domain and personal domain has.
I do connect with Indra Nooyi a lot because a lot of things comes in common, how she balances the things in business and in her personal life as well. So once we are coming up with the rapid fire round now. So Prachi, your message to the aspiring marketers.
Well, I seriously don't do this messaging thing, but generally, since we are doing a podcast, it is the trend, the rite of passage to do so. So I'll leave you with a few thoughts. I mean, a lot of us, including me, we have always been taught to run after perfection. So whenever we have achieved 90%, 70% success also, we have always focused on what we could not achieve. As a business person or as a marketer, that first thing is to be kind to yourself. Be very proud of what you have achieved. There is no end to having a perfect output. It's always something that you look back and you find something or the other that's been perfect. Always keep on going back to it and find that little tweak, that little plus, that little Pantone color difference that you keep on finding, or the little product development, or the little numbers that you could actually chase for. So it's always a journey. So be very kind to yourself and really celebrate what you achieve. Don't run after what you could not achieve. That will be, covered in a way. My second point, again, to be very focused on is don't focus on finding the right answers. Ask the right questions. You will find the answer. You start asking the questions. Asking the right questions is like half the battle won. You will find people, and trust me, you'll not find them immediately. You will, but if you ask the right questions, it gets populated. You will find the right people to ask those questions very. Third and the most important thing I think, which I always say, that you should wake up in the morning and feel the zeal, feel the motivation to wake up and go to what you are doing. You can have a corporate job, not have a corporate job, work in a startup, not work in a startup, just doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you should wake up and feel that, oh, I have a beautiful day to look forward to, and this is how I will be productive by the end of the day. So that's what all matters.
That's really motivating, Prachi, and as a business person, this is very important to look your achievements as well, because we have a tendency, we have a psychology to look what we have not done it in a right way, rather than to celebrate the small little things every day which we do it. So I think it's incredible insights having from you, Prachi, and it's incredible having you in the video segment. Thank you so much for your time.